have to be unified, even if you have differences in those moments, or you ain't going to get anywhere. And believe me, it's possible. Remember every moment that you're not unified and try to make that happen again.
Adam is live and on location in Anniston, Alabama, and we're going to talk about why that is right now. So, New Flyer is a Canadian-based multinational and the largest electric bus manufacturer in North America. They have plants across the United States, including in Minnesota, Kentucky, and right here in Alabama, in Anniston. New Flyer workers have been organizing with the Industrial Department of the Communication Workers of America, IUE-CWA, and we're excited to have a panel this morning of workers and organizers from this active union campaign. As Alabama's only union talk radio program, we here at the Valley Labor Report strive to uplift the labor movement and working people in the South, and we hope that this interview educates folks not just about this campaign, but about how and why workers are organizing in general, including right here in the South. So, Adam, talk to us about what you're doing down there in Anniston, and introduce the panel for us.
Hey, y'all. It's a pleasure to be here in Anniston. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk with folks from New Flyer across the country and talk with, more importantly, workers who are on the move, workers who are organizing. And so I am here in Anniston with Will Hunt, who is a worker here at New Flyer Anniston. Also, I'm here with Genesis, who is an organizer with CWA, and we'll be speaking a little bit more in a second. And then Jacob, if you want to let's go around, maybe let's see, Brenda, if you want to introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll go to Bob, and then Dion, and then Jacob, I think, has a question for us.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Brenda Yates. I work at the Shepherdsville plant. I live in Bardstown.
Bob.
Hi, my name is Bob. Yeah, my name is Bob Copleen. I work at New Flyer, St. Cloud, Minnesota. Just want to let everybody know, I've been actually in and out of the union here in St. Cloud, and I realized just how it is to have one. And that's why I entered the unit, back into the unit. We were able to get back my service time. I did lose a couple of years of seniority, but that's because it's stuff we bargained for. So I didn't lose too much when I left. But I'm on the e-board here, did a couple contracts already. Looking forward to the third one next year. But it's important that all the facilities get treated equally. And I want Anniston to, for sure, because they are building from scratch just like we do, that they get the similar benefits and wages, because we're building the same $1 million bus. That's kind of where I'm at.
All right. Thanks for that, Bob.
Yeah, Dion, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Dion Knight. I'm at the Jamestown plant up in Jamestown, New York. Fairly new to the union, so hoping everything works out. It's just not an easy job right now.
Yep.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thanks again to everyone for joining this morning. I'm going to start here in Anniston with a question for Genesis, and we're going to ask, what is a neutrality agreement, and is there one at New Flyer? How does this work? How does this help?
There is currently a new neutrality agreement at New Flyer in Anniston, and basically this agreement pretty much is simply an agreement that allows workers to form their union without fear, and all parties involved are neutral throughout the whole process. So workers are able to, form their union without retaliations from the employer. So that's basically what this neutrality agreement is for.
Awesome. And something that I wanted to get into, obviously there's a neutrality agreement here, but we know typically companies often are anti-union, right? We know that a lot of times companies fight union drives really hard. And so I'm curious, I'll start with you, Genesis, and then we can go, around the panel and just why are companies so anti-union like that?
Well, we all know, every employer at non-union jobs, the employer holds all the power. So they are able to come up with the guidelines and the work schedules. They are able to set their own guidelines and expectations, including like working hours, wages, how the working schedule looks. And it's pretty much not to bash the company or anything, but every worker deserves dignity, to be treated with dignity and respect. And most importantly, to work in a safe work environment, So with these companies, workers forming a union, they are allowed to have a voice and they are allowed to have input on these policies that the company comes up with. So every employer don't want to lose that power. They don't want the workers to have a say-so within those policies and those guidelines and whatever else they come up with. They want to have all the decision-making to themselves, So that's like I would say that's the main reason why some companies are anti-union and they fight back when workers are trying to form their union, because they don't want all the decision-making taken away from them.
Adam, if you don't mind me jumping in here, Genesis, I think that is exactly right. And it is, people talk about the money and people, the immediate thing that folks think about is that, companies don't want unions in there because they're going to have to pay their employees more money, generally speaking. And there's definitely something to that, but there is really a lot of it is just that they do not want their power over the employees to be challenged, their power to be able to make unilateral decisions without consequence and without pushback and without feedback or any input from the employees. They just like being able to do that, and you can't do that when your workers are organized and especially when you officially have a union and you have a contract. And so I really appreciate you saying that as an important reason, because that is something that non-union people especially, they don't really think about just how much power their employers have over them and how being part of a union will help give them some power and some say on the job. And, in this case, like you said at New Flyer, you've got a neutrality agreement. And so the hope is that there's not going to be that kind of anti-union campaign at New Flyer. But if and when, management pushes back at other companies, how do you think, how would you respond, or how would you encourage people to respond to that kind of, to anti-union campaigns?
Yeah, so everything the company does, it doesn't need a response back from the workers, So my biggest thing is I tell workers, find the most widely and deepest felt issue that every coworker, is dealing with, and you take that issue and you fight back, with the company with things like that. But like I stated, every reaction from the company, we don't need to react back towards it. We just need to document and make sure that the company is not doing anything that they don't supposed to be doing with the workers, So that's basically my biggest push with workers, is to take the problem that's most widely felt and most deeply felt amongst all your coworkers and kind of use that to come up with some different tactics you could use to push back towards the company with.
So some folks on the Zoom, I'm interested in your answers to this question, and I'll kick it to Brenda, and anybody else that wants to jump in can after she's finished. But Brenda, what are some basic union rights and protections that you have learned about that you think it would be helpful for your colleagues, sisters and brothers in Anniston who are making this decision right now? What are some basic union rights and protections that you've learned about that you reckon these folks ought to know?
We have wine garden rights. We have the right to representation. We don't have to go in front of management fearful of what they're going to say or what they're going to do without having somebody there to witness it and to have our back. That was the main thing. You know, they're always pulling somebody in the office for something. But once we started implementing our wine garden rights, that kind of slowed down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and just for the audience who doesn't know, you know, a lot of folks who are listening online, y'all probably know what wine garden rights are, but we're also on the radio, so we may have some people that are tuning in to this show for the first time. And just to explain what wine garden rights are, when you are in a unionized facility, you have the right under federal law, anytime your supervisor wants to have a meeting with you that you reasonably feel like could lead to your discipline or termination, you have the right to have union representation in that meeting. And that doesn't mean that if you've done something wrong, you're not going to be able to be disciplined or terminated or anything, but you're going to have somebody there who knows the contract, who knows how, you know, how management is able to discipline, who knows all of this stuff, and who is able to, you know, keep management in check, make sure they're not violating the law, make sure they're not violating your contract. And that is a huge peace of mind for workers who are going through, you know, potential illegitimate retaliation or discipline or termination, stuff like that. Bob, what are your thoughts?
So when we have been union as long as we have at our location, through all these years, we've actually got a lot of the respect of our cell leaders at this point, where everyone else is going to have growing pains because they're newer. A lot of stuff doesn't even go to grievance process anymore. We just talk it out on the floor. And we use that contract as, this is your number one, and we all have to abide by it. Most cases, they don't fight that. Every once in a while, somebody above that, someone could be like superintendent, someone above them that doesn't even know what's going on the floor. We'll be like, well, bring that guy in. We got to get him written up.
Right.
And in that case, then, you know, you go through the process of the investigations or whatever. In most cases, they find out they're wrong, and then we end up winning. And when we win, it's like, it's a big win because we usually get people like personal day, personal time, you know, personal couple hours off. So if they were wrong to say 2 hours of overtime when they shouldn't have been even on the list, we fight to get back 2 hours of their life. So 2 hours of personal time is a win. But at this point in St. Cloud, things work out pretty well when we just talk it out on the floor before we even get to the grievance process or whatever.
Yeah. Dion, what about you? What are some basic union rights and protections that you think that folks down in Anniston and folks in Anniston and folks anywhere who are not in a union environment ought to know about?
Well, I agree with Brenda. The protection of having somebody in meetings with you when they call you in. When the union started, I got called in for smaller things. They had a problem with me working out during my breaks, doing push-ups and things. They said it was a safety issue, but I expressed myself during an open meeting when I shouldn't. But when they called me in the back, they came with all three bosses, and I kind of felt more attacked. You know, I'm looking and there's nobody there to have my back in. And I appreciate the fact that now that at least somebody else there to agree with me or disagree with me. But it's nice to have somebody in the room with you when you're under the gun.
Right. Will, you know, I know that this is the first, I believe this is the first public announcement of the union campaign at Anniston, at New Flyer in Anniston. But y'all have been working inside of the plant for weeks, maybe months now. I'm not totally sure, educating people about this kind of stuff. How do you feel like this information that you know all of your you know coworkers at New Flyer across the country are talking about? Do you feel like this information has kind of you know reached a lot of your coworkers down in Anniston?
Yeah. I think we've been trying really hard to make sure that everyone's as educated as possible in the plant. We just want to dispel any fear people would have. So we've been trying really hard to make sure everyone knows rights, what you can and can't do, everything. So the polls down there for it is all really good now. People are really, really supportive of all of it because of that.
That's great. That's great to hear. And you know, we're talking about union, and for those just tuning in on the radio, you're listening to the Valley Labor Report. We've got a panel of New Flyer workers nationwide, including New Flyer workers who are forming a union in Anniston, Alabama right now, talking about the unionization process and collective bargaining and contracts and stuff like that. And talking about that, you know, people think that the union is like a third party. And so in this case, they would think that the IUECWA is a separate entity that is coming in, and you're going to vote the union in. And it's this third party that's going to do stuff on your behalf. But we know, as union members and as union organizers, that this is not really the case. that workers are organizing themselves, and workers are the union, and staying engaged is important to forming and maintaining a strong and fighting union. You know, Bob, can you talk to us about the importance of that union, and staying engaged is important to forming and maintaining a strong and fighting union. You know, Bob, can you talk to us about the importance of that?
Yeah, it's kind of like that picture you see where there's like one fish, and that's the boss, and then you have like a couple of small fish that are getting yelled at. But then when they all come together and they make one giant fish, the whole school of fish, you have the power in that moment through numbers. And so arguing with your boss just one-on-one isn't going to get you anywhere. But if you got 50 people behind you, he's more apt to listen and listen to reason. And that's when you kind of say, hey, this is against the contract. What are you doing, man? I tell everyone, a lot of times, you know, you have to be unified, even if you have differences in those moments, or you ain't going to get anywhere. And believe me, the boss will remember every moment that you're not unified and try to make that happen again. He'll try to corner you, and that's why it's important to have everyone at one text message away when you do like a movement where everyone just comes and gathers all at once in front of the production office. Hey, you just wronged Jimmy. We're here to make sure that you guys, you know, do it right and make him full again. And when they see all the sheer numbers in front of the production office, and they're like, "Oh, wow, we really messed up." It's not like a membership at the gym. You have to put in the effort and work out. You don't just pay and get buff. It don't work that way. You have to put in the effort. And so I tell a lot of people, you got to put in the effort. If it's even just being one of the mobilizers to tell everyone what's going on, if it's coming to the union meetings and being informed, that's all important stuff you need to do. It's like once a month, you come in, you hear what's going on with the union dudes, you hear what's going on with our local, you hear what's going on with our bosses. But you got to get involved. You can't just sit on the outside, on the outskirts, and think you're going to get all the information, because you're not.
Yeah, that is my least favorite part about working out, is that you have to do it. But I enjoy the metaphorical working out of union participation a lot more. And, you know, Brenda, y'all just formed your union over there in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. Can you talk to us about, you know, about how important it was to show solidarity during the unionization process and being active?
Oh yeah. We've had some really gung ho anti all the way. So it's been a battle. It's been a real battle. But you know, the more that we speak to people and the more that we get the truth out there of what the union is actually there for, then more people are understanding that, hey, you know, this is for me. This is to help me, not just them, but you know, it's all of us, it's everybody. And it definitely, it takes a lot of participation to get people motivated. It really does.
Yes, absolutely. Dion, what about y'all? Y'all recently formed your union up in Jamestown, is my understanding. How important was you know, solidarity during the organization process?
It turned out to be very important. In the beginning, we had a lot of people that were afraid and they didn't want to go against the status. But the more some of the few that were pushing for the union, the more they pushed against us, the people on the outside were able to see, hey, the bosses aren't really on the up and up. They're really not our friends. You know, we need to come together. Like I said, that they kind of did us a favor. The more they pushed, the more they revealed themselves, and it made other people come together. Once we come together, they stopped pushing. They stopped pushing, and the union was able to be formed. The fight still goes on, but like I said, being staying together, it helps a lot. It's a must.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking about union campaigns, and during union campaigns, a lot of times there's some amount of misinformation that comes from an anti-union perspective. Will, can you talk to us about some common misinformation that companies will use to deceive workers and try to get them to vote against becoming a union?
Yeah. A lot of misinformation that we've been getting specifically in Anniston is targeted directly at pay, dues. We've heard, well, quarter of your pay every week's going to dues. We've heard 10%. We've heard 50%
of your pay.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. We have heard absurd things. We've heard that, hey, every dime you give, we're in Anniston, Alabama. People are bringing politics into it. It's a lot of misconceptions. They're just really trying to hit where people around here would be most concerned. So definitely the money and the politics is what we've been hearing a lot here in Anniston. So just it's been mainly the money.
Yeah, well, so I want to talk. We're going to talk about. I'll ask some more of the panel about some other misinformation. But since you brought up those two things, Genesis, I wonder if you could go ahead and talk about, as the union staff, can you talk to us about union dues and what they go for? We heard there, Will said that there are some folks that think that a quarter of your salary is going to go to dues. Is that true, Genesis? Is that how much y'all's dues are?
Absolutely not. So yes, with union dues, first and foremost, union dues are 2.25%, which is like 1.3% of a typical full-time worker salary, which is monthly. And pretty much those dues do not come out. They do not. Let me repeat. They do not come out your paycheck until you have a contract that you approve with your employee and that you have voted on. So union dues do not start until you have a contract. And let's just say you have a 40-hour work week and I make $20. So on a monthly schedule, that's probably like $45 coming out my paycheck a month. And weekly, that's around like $11 or something. I mean, I spend that on McDonald's throughout the week, So, of course, not union dues. It's not going to be thousands of dollars. Like I just stated, making $20, I'm paying $45 a month for my union dues. And like I stated, you do not pay union dues until you have a contract that you approve with your employee. And some of those union dues, majority of those union dues go into a wide variety of things, such as programs and activities that you do within your local. They also go towards negotiating contracts. They pay the wages of people like me, staff and union leaders, of course, to do the organizing work with you guys. Also, it goes towards legal representation, having somebody in there to fight for you. But most importantly, majority of these dues go back into your local. So your local, majority of those dues go back into the local.
Right. Well, now, but Genesis, I think that you left out one thing, which is the $1 billion checks that you're writing to Joe Biden from union dues.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So politics. Yeah, it's really against the law for union dues to be used for politics. I mean, if we're talking about politics within your local union, then of course, if you want to support somebody that's running for a steward position or something, by all means you can. But union dues do not go towards politics, such as like the president or outsiders that are running. So most definitely that is not true. You don't pay thousands of dollars of union dues, and they are not supported for politics.
Wow, that is bonkers. Because that's what I hear all the time, is that union dues, that we're just writing billion-dollar checks to Joe Biden personally himself. But now I'm hearing that that's not true, and that actually that's against the law. So and that's. That is actually the facts, is that it is against the law for union dues to be to go towards politics. And now unions do have PACs. They have political action committees that are separate kind of entities that you can donate to voluntarily, separate from your dues if you want to, but that's not a condition of membership, and it's totally voluntary. So yeah, your dues do not go to politics. That's a big old fat lie. But what are some other misinformation that companies will talk about to try to dissuade people from voting to unionize? Deanna, do you have any other things that you've heard commonly?
No, they when we got started, they didn't really give out too much misinformation. I think our most information wasn't from the company; it was from people that didn't want to unionize, that had been in unions before, their experiences, their bad experiences, and they shared those. And some of them, they found their followers. But yeah, not so much from the company, but from others that just don't want to be part of a union. They've been the biggest hindrance for us.
Brenda, what about in Shepherdsville?
Yeah, it's basically the same. A lot of ours has been about politics and about the money. And then, of course, you have older employees that are like, well, I've been in a union and they didn't do nothing for me. And I look at them, I'm like, yeah, but this is our union. We're going to make it what we want it to be. And if you're a part of it, then you get to say so in how you want this one to run. So maybe that would make things a little better for you. And that's turned a lot of people around, but there's still some of them, they're just stuck in their ways, and unions are bad. Doesn't matter. Unions are bad.
Yep. That's unfortunately something that you'll come across the country, including here in the South. And, talking about union dues again, folks think about, okay, well, so maybe Genesis, okay, I'm not writing $1,000 checks to the union, and maybe the union is not writing $1 million checks to Joe Brandon, okay, but you're taking a 1% of my paycheck. That's still less money than I had before the union came in, and so is that the case, Genesis? Is there's no raises or anything like that? Talk to us about the union difference.
Yeah, so pretty much that would be the case, if, of course, you're not a unionized job, but most companies are either unionized or not unionized. And that determines how the company, create policies and working conditions. And I will honestly say, with a unionized workplace, workers are able to have a voice and a say-so within those policies. So they sit down with the company to create these guidelines and these policies together. But in a non-unionized factory, there's no say-so from workers. Whatever the company writes, whatever the company comes up with, that's what it's going to be. And the workers don't have a voice to say anything. And the company is allowed to make changes throughout the year to that policy. And that's what a lot of workers are faced with. Companies are just, targeting certain people with certain things, showing favoritism and things of that sort. And that's why workers fight to form a union, to have a voice to stop things like that and stop the company from having so much power to make policies and guidelines that better fit them as an employer, instead of helping the employees have a better work life, a better work environment, better pay, better benefits, whatever the case may be that the workers are fighting for. So that's pretty much like the biggest union difference with employers, whether you're non-union or unionized. Like I stated, non-union, there's no say so. Unionized, you have a right to sit with the big dogs and make those guidelines and those policies and whatever you want to, negotiate to put in your contract. You're able to have that voice to do that, being at a unionized workplace.
Right. And in particular, when folks are thinking about dues, union contracts are going to typically, almost always, come with rather large pay raises. Union workers make on average 14 to 20% more than non-union workers. And that doesn't even count all of the other benefits, the improved healthcare plans, retirement plans, time off, all of that just in wages, 10 to 14% more. And so that alone, you're getting 10 times back just in wages, typically 10 times back compared to what you pay in dues. And just to kind of illustrate that, Brenda, y'all recently won a raise over in Shepherdsville. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. Every year that I've been there 4 years. Every year they have given out a cost of living assessment raise, the COLA. Well, once we started our contract, then all of a sudden we never gave out cost of living raises. We've just done wage assessments. That's all we've done. So the company tried to backpedal and say, no, y'all aren't getting that. We don't give those out. But yet it seemed awful funny that everybody in the cell got their raises because they weren't union eligible. So therefore they gave them a raise. So yeah, we fought from July 3rd until we just got our back pay last week on our last paycheck.
That is awesome, being able to get back pay that y'all were owed because you were discriminated against for being a union facility when everybody else got this raise, and so that's a pretty big deal. Bob, what about over in Minnesota? What kind of wage increases have y'all been able to see since unionization?
Wow. Since unionization, typically I've been there 18 years. On average, we got guaranteed raises every year, anywhere from like 2.5 to 3%. And that was pretty much the norm. This last contract, we really stuck it to them. What we've seen was we were one of the lowest performers as far as getting people in the door, and we were losing people left and right that have been there 10, 15, 20 years. We gathered a lot of data when we bargained and said, hey, look at all these guys that are like leaving and they're starting out at $25 an hour here and there. So we gave them that. We looked at the high inflation and we kind of just throw it all in front of them. And then we also said on top of that, we have a 98% willing to go on strike. And we have enough funds to pay these people on day one. So we gathered up our locals' money for many, many years. And so now we're funded enough where if it's needed, we have money there set aside right away to go on strike and pay people up until the national kicks in their funds. That scared Winnipeg enough to basically say, well, we need to do something for recruitment. But then they put all the money on the front for recruitment. I'm like, wait a minute, these people are still leaving in droves, people 10, 15, 20-year employees. And they said, okay, well, let's move a little bit of this money for longevity. And we've never had that before. So now, and this would really be nice if Anniston was able to get it, those long-term employees get an extra $1 every 5 years they work there. So I went from like $22.74 before the last contract 2 years ago. I'm making $30 an hour now. And that was from longevity. And that was from just negotiating and having that threat of a strike. If you actually look at the union difference, look at UPS and FedEx.
Right.
They're doing the same job, but one's getting crazy wages and benefits, and the other one, they hire contractors for $24 an hour.
Yeah.
that shows a lot right there. If you all are in it together and build your union up and have that little fund on the side, your money will help out in the long run, especially when you want to go on strike. It's a good weapon to have.
Absolutely. So, Adam, you think we're good to go ahead and get to this portion about how to sign a union card, or is there something else that you wanted to make sure we got to?
No, I think this would be a great time to, we've talked a little bit about the campaigns and some of the things that you deal with in the process of a campaign, but let's just acknowledge the most important thing is someone actually has to say yes, right? And so, I wanted to just give a chance for Genesis and Will to kind of go over what would it look like if you are one of these workers and you want to say yes and you want to see a union in your facility. How do you actually do that? So I'm gonna give them a chance to demonstrate.
Hey, Genesis, I'm great.
So the time has came and it's time to sign your union card. Are you ready?
Sure am.
Okay, the first thing you're gonna do is scan this with your phone. Do you have any questions so far?
Not so far.
Okay.
Let's open it up.
All right, so they've got this piece of paper over there with a QR code right now that Will is scanning. What's coming up, Will?
So right here, I'm getting the digital card to fill out. It's first name, last name, all the information, cell, job title, everything. So.
And it's very important to fill out every piece of information that we're asking for. So you will fill out all that. And as well as if you're at work, I just seen you had problems connecting. So you can also do this outside of work. So at home, you can have this QR code, you can print it out, keep it in your wallet, flop it out if you want to, sign another coworker up. But you can also do this at home or at a restaurant, wherever you meet your friends, whatever the case may be. But you would fill out all this information and you will submit. You got to make sure you submit it. And you should receive an email authorization saying that you filled it out. And that's how you correctly do it. If you never received that email, that means something went wrong in the process of you filling it out. Okay, so you always want to just double back with an organizer or the coworker that you went through to sign up your union card and make sure that everything went through. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
How are you feeling?
I've been waiting a long time to do this.
That's great. That's awesome.
So Will has Will completed it?
Will is completing his official membership here. And so that's a pretty exciting thing, I think, to have on the Valley Labor Report, to have someone actually sign their card live on the air right here in Alabama.
Congratulations.
So there we go. We've got a new member here in Anniston, Alabama. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah,
brothers. All right. Well, Will, congratulations on signing your authorization card. And look forward to many, 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 many more people at New Flyer in Anniston signing those authorization cards.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Jacob, did you have anything else? Or did you want me to go ahead and kind of wrap things up this morning?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
So, yeah, I just wanted to thank each of you for your time this morning, and more importantly, for your organizing work to improve the lives of your fellow workers. I'm really proud that I've gotten to know some folks here in Anniston this summer working on the campaign with Jobs to Move America. Like Jacob, I'm looking forward to your continued success. I know those of you on this panel don't necessarily know me. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a Southerner born and bred, and I'm a union man through and through. And I've spent the last decade trying to build the labor movement here in Alabama because I know the power we have as everyday working people when we come together and unite around our common interest. I know the advocacy, the benefits, and the protections of a union can make our lives better. We all want to be treated with respect. We all want to be compensated fairly so we can provide for our families. We all want to come home safely. and spend time with our families. We all want to take care of our health, and we all want to retire with dignity. We all want a voice on the job where we spend so much of our time. And when there are issues on the job, we all want folks to have our backs. So that's why I know when the New Flyer Anniston workers join together, you can and will win this union. You can and will win a strong contract. You can and will improve your lives and ultimately the lives of your families and community. So I'm wishing y'all much success as the campaign unfolds. With love and solidarity, Adam Keller.
Adam, thanks for that. Bob, Dion, Brenda, Will, Genesis, thank you for your time on this panel of New Flyer employees, talking about New Flyer employees and Genesis as a CWA staffer, talking about unionization, collective bargaining, contracts, and wrapping it up with a authorization card signing from Will over in Anniston, Alabama. Appreciate everybody's time. We're going to go ahead and head to a break, and we'll be right back wrapping it up. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.